Hafide, and welcome back to Weekend Edition. This is Rehash, where we recap the big stories of the past week. And this week, you probably were thinking twice before you went out to eat because of Carmen, who has found her second calling as a public inspector, a health inspector.
It's true. What can I say? So it's been quite a busy week for the Public Health Office, and they've inspected. So just this week, I mean, I know before the holidays we had Josie's Bok Choy, but that passed with a B rating. But just this week we had 7-Day Supermarket in Harmon closed, Faux Saigon 2 in Harmon also closed, and finally Old Town Chinese Restaurant in Upper Tumon also closed. All three were closed down by public health due to sanitary issues. That doesn't just include the way they handle their food, but also roach infestations, which I think is, it's pretty problematic. And it's not only this is the first week of the year, and this has also been happening last year. And so I just interviewed Claire, who is a public health officer 3, and she would really give us a good perspective on, how understaffed public health was and how they respond to these complaints. And so, that's a story that we're going to be following up on next week. So if anyone, you got to follow it, I think, follow it through to really see if they're opening their doors. Again, public health says they give these recommendations to the business owners. You need to clean up. You need to call someone to deal with the roaches. And they're just recommendations. The biggest problem is enforcement, right? So hopefully they actually follow through. Okay. And that's what I hope to see in the future.
Again, Carmen is referring to the letter grade that you see whenever you enter a food or beverage establishment.
Yeah.
Also cracking down on crime this week, or not crime rather, but how people handle, or regulations rather. Keani, you did something about massage parlors.
Yes. Okay, so yesterday, January 4th, legislation, Senator Nelson, she introduced a bill which would basically establish regulations and requirements for, massage therapists, massage businesses on the island. And so I spoke to Senator Nelson, and she was basically saying how she really wants this bill to pass because she does want to promote the massage industry on our island, but she also wants to crack down on all of these illegitimate businesses that may be fronts for human trafficking and sex trafficking, which we know is a big problem, back in 2009 when they had all of these massage parlors. Even when Nick went, undercover and, saw it for himself, like it's definitely a big problem on our island. And so hopefully it does get passed into legislation. I also was able to speak to Dr. Mamie Balahaja, who is the chairman of the Board of Allied Health Examiners, because the Board of Allied Health Examiners will be the ones in charge of implementing the procedures. And so she is definitely in favor as well of this bill's passing. So look more for that, in next week and stuff when we find out more information from both of them.
Right. Keani was kind of saying to me a little bit earlier about how you only need 2 things to become a massage therapist.
It was very surprising too when I found this out.
Really?
You only need a health certificate, and you just need to get an STD check every 6 months. And that alone doesn't sound like enough to, if you're someone that people are going to go to, especially for like a massage, especially someone who's in pain or who actually needs it for medical reasons or for ailments. And I definitely wouldn't want someone.
And that's why we're tightening up regulations.
Yeah.
And Nick and I actually tag teamed this next story. It was about the detainee was found dead in the lockup.
Right, we were first to break that story whenever authorities first responded to the Hagani detention facility to report of that detainee being found dead. Initially, we weren't too sure what was going on there, as that medical examiner had said it could have been of natural causes. But then we learned this past week from investigators that it was, in fact, a homicide investigation that they're carrying out. So they are now looking into who were the key players, or who could have been the key players in that brutal attack. The second brutal attack happening within the same year, 2017, while it's under La Morena's watch. So a lot of scrutiny coming from the community to La Morena, and now investigators have that difficult task of finding out who did it.
So you spoke with GPD and DOC leadership. I sat down with the medical examiner who told us about his findings, because again, he has the only trained eye to kind of look and see the injuries, and he was the one that ultimately determined that it was not in fact a natural cause of death. It was a homicide, and that it looks like a cover-up. It definitely looks like a cover-up, because when he showed up to the scene, it was clean. the detainee had a clean outfit on. He
No
had
evidence of blood.
no evidence of blood. And so it wasn't until he took a closer look that he found out that the injuries sustained actually kind of were worse than that of a car accident. And so we'll have more on that this next week. If you have any news tips for us here on the news desk, you can email us at reporters@kuam.com. It's that easy.